Ukrainian mythology is incredibly diverse. Although most records of the oldest legends have not survived, existing studies published by ethnographers and folklorists over the past 2 centuries span thousands of pages. So where to start and how not to get lost in the fascinating universe of our myths? We'll explore this in this episode. Hello, I'm Nick Lisitsky, and this is The Magical World of Ukrainian Folklore, an educational series for those who want to learn more about Ukrainian culture and identity. Let's start with some fascinating facts. Fact 1. Ukrainian mythology spans from ancient times to the present day. Unlike Egyptian, Greek, or Norse mythologies, which formed thousands of years ago and remained unchanged, in Ukraine, ethnographers and folklorists recorded mythological texts in the 19th, 20th, and even 21st centuries. A new Ukrainian heroic myth is being shaped right now. Fact 2. Almost nothing is known about ancient Ukrainian gods. Unfortunately, ancient texts of our myths and legends, like Hesiod's Theogony or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, have not survived. Our knowledge of pre-Christian Ukrainian beliefs is based on fragmented accounts from Christian chroniclers and the analysis of folklore, including fairy tales and ritual songs. What about all those legends found online, like those about Sokil Rod, Bilobog, Chornobog, or Barahinya? Well, we must acknowledge that these have as much connection to ancient beliefs as Marvel Comics do to the Elder Edda. These legends were created, let's say, by 19th and 20th century writers who compensated for the lack of reliable data with their rich imaginations, satisfying the audience's thirst for a deeper national heritage. However, Ukrainian mythology is rich and fascinating enough without these fabrications. Watch this episode to the end, and you'll see for yourself. Fact 3. Many characters in Ukrainian mythology have recognizable archetypes shared with other cultures. It's easy to pitch them to, say, a Hollywood producer looking for new characters for familiar plots. For example, we have our own thunder god, Perun, a counterpart to Greek Zeus, Norse Thor, or Indian Indra. We have vampires, Upyri, werewolves, Vovkulaki, and charismatic villains, devils, Chordi. We even have our legendary knight, Kyiv, and mermaids, Rusalki, though our mermaids are quite different from the Disney version. Fact 4. Ukrainian mythology features entirely unique characters with distinctive images and traits. Eridnik, Hodovanets, Mavka, or Chuhaister can only be found in Ukraine. Fact 5. Mythological beliefs remain part of the worldview of a significant portion of Ukrainian society. Combined with Christianity, they have formed a unique blend of beliefs, rituals, and traditions that continue to shape Ukrainian national identity, even in the 21st century. Since our videos are popular science, in the theoretical section, we provide scholarly definitions of key concepts. According to the Encyclopedia of Modern Ukraine, a myth is an oral narrative that preserves a people's archaic beliefs about the origins of humanity, the world, gods, spirits, deified heroes, and ancestors in collective memory. A simpler definition, adopted by Western European scholars in the 20th century, describes a myth as a real, sacredly significant event worthy of emulation, as it was perceived in primitive societies. A legend is an oral prose folk poetic work about ancient events of mythological and religious significance. Our mythology is very rich and diverse. However, everything related to our ancient beliefs has unfortunately been lost in the mists of time. We can only hypothesize about our archaic myths by analyzing ritual complexes or fairy tales. For example, one well-known carol contains a cosmogonic myth, a myth about the creation of the world. Easter traditions are tied to the cult of the dead, while magical tales about wolves are linked to totemism and the cult of the wolf as a tribal protector. You'll learn more about Ukrainian fairy tales and calendar rituals in our upcoming episodes, so be sure to like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. There's a lot of exciting content ahead. Regarding the next historical stage, the so-called higher mythology, we have, albeit fragmented, chronicle data. In particular, we know about the pantheon of Prince Volodymyr, located on Kyiv's princely hill, which included Perun, Dazhba, Horse, Simargal, Strybal, and Makosh. The next stage in the development of Ukrainian mythology, known in our folkloristics as demonology, began after the Christianization of Rus in 988. Christianity in what is now Ukraine, adapting to the local worldview, divided mythical deities and spirits into two groups. One was associated with Christian saints, while the other was labeled as demons. However, belief in these beings was so integral to the folk worldview that, combined with Christianity, it formed a folk religion, a unique syncretic belief system where people read the Bible and attended church, while also believing that a domovik, house spirit, lived in their home. A devil lurked at crossroads, and mavki, forest spirits, roamed the woods. A vivid example of this unique worldview is the attitude toward witches. While in Western Europe, witches were seen solely as servants of the devil and burned at the stake, in Ukraine, the attitude was entirely different. Witches were part of the community, could attend church, and were even consulted for health issues. If witches were judged, it was solely in the context of harm they might have caused. Their supposed dealings with the devil were rarely, if ever, mentioned. As the prominent ethnographer Volodymyr Antonovich wrote in the early 20th century, the folk view of witchcraft was not demonological, but purely pantheistic. Assuming the existence of unknown forces and laws in nature, the people believed that many of these laws were known to individuals who had managed to learn them in one way or another. Thus, possessing the secrets of nature was not considered sinful or contrary to religious teachings. Thus, with the adoption of Christianity, Ukrainian mythology not only survived, but became even richer and more fascinating. Over the centuries, it developed and was preserved in oral folk traditions. In the 19th century, mythological texts were finally recorded by researchers, resulting in ethnographic collections and scholarly studies that now form the basis of our knowledge about our mythology. In the 20th and even early 21st centuries, folklorists and ethnographers continued to collect accounts, learning about domoviki living in modern urban apartments or attics of private homes, wearing glasses and reading newspapers. Moreover, Ukrainian mythology continues to evolve today. Since the start of the full-scale war, new mythological narratives have emerged, where the extraordinary deeds of real warriors are becoming legends that will live on for centuries. Since there is no ancient corpus of myths to rely on, each researcher has approached the categorization of Ukrainian mythology differently. Indeed, when diving into this magical world and wanting to learn more, it sometimes feels like it would be great to have a map to navigate the myriad mythical beings, phenomena, and archetypes. Well, that day has come. You can download a map of Ukrainian mythology via the link in the description, and we'll tell you a legend, the legend behind this map. Main archetypes of Ukrainian mythology, the universe. This category includes cosmogonic myths, myths about the creation of the world, as well as beliefs about the sun, moon, sky, earth, the world tree, various natural forces, and the afterlife. This also includes apocryphal legends that blend Christian and pre-Christian worldviews, such as the Hutzal story about the joint creation of the world by God and Aradik, deities. These include the gods of Prince Volodymyr's pantheon mentioned earlier, as well as others whose canonicity scholars debate: Veles, Svarog, Rod and Rezanici, Yarilo, Kupalo, Lada, Dana, and Morena. Spirits or lower mythology characters, a large group of mythical beings inhabiting forests, fields, waters, land, air, homes, and crossroads, including devils, torti, mavki, forest spirits, rusalki, air spirits, lisoviki, forest spirits, zlibni, misfortune spirits, and domoviki, house spirits. We've covered most of these in the 3 seasons of the magical world of Ukrainian mythology. So if you want to learn more, check out our previous episodes. Links are in the description of this video. Mythical warriors. This category is particularly relevant today, as over 1,000 years of heroic epics form the foundation of modern heroism. Ukrainians have long had to defend their lands, and in every era, brave warriors emerged whose feats and special abilities turned them into legends. During the times of Kievan Rus, the image of bogatyrs, epic heroes, emerged, whose deeds we learn about from bailinas, epic songs. By the way, the bogatyr epic is part of our folklore that Russians, as they say, appropriated with a flick of the wrist. Rus bogatyrs became Russian. Ilya Muromets was given a residence in Murom, and court poets and artists completed the job. However, as the saying goes, you can't erase words from a song. Most of the 30 bogatyrs mentioned in bailinas come from Kyiv or Chernihiv. This is no surprise, as the cycle of bailinas about bogatyrs is called the Kyiv cycle. The extraordinary abilities of Zaporozhian Cossacks gave rise to the image of charakternyky, warrior sorcerers who, according to legend, could catch bullets with their bare hands, stay underwater for hours, and hypnotize enemies. However, legends surround not only the military exploits of the Cossacks, but also their origins and lives. For example, one legend claims that the Cossacks descended from 12 small children. In our time, new pages of the heroic epic are being written by the warriors of the Ukrainian armed forces. Perhaps the most famous modern legend, the Ghost of Kyiv, a collective image of the pilots of the 40th Tactical Aviation Brigade, has become widely known not only in Ukraine, but also inspired the plot of a Japanese manga. People with supernatural powers. This category includes both living people who gained a magical aura due to their abilities, witches, weather makers, Malfairy, Carpathian sorcerers, healers, giants, and various types of undead, such as opiri, vampires, pokutniki, penitent spirits, potopelniki, drowned spirits, poterchata, spirits of unbaptized children, Nichnici, night spirits, and others. Animals. Ukrainian mythology includes many legends and tales about domestic and wild animals, birds, amphibians, fish, and even insects. For example, there are stories about yarchuks, dogs that can hunt witches, or the belief that bears were once humans. The popular image of vovkulaki, werewolves, is also tied to totemic beliefs in wolves. Monsters. This category includes creatures that don't fit into the previous ones, such as 3-headed serpents from fairy tales, giant snakes, pelosi, ferocious dog-headed creatures, siholopsi, griffins, sea and forest people, siroidi, raw-eaters, the terrifying Kozilok, or the peculiar Hutsal mythological character, Zhretva. Plants. Trees, shrubs, flowers, and herbs also have a place in the Ukrainian mythological worldview, though legends about them are relatively few and mostly apocryphal. For example, there's a belief that devils live in elderberry bushes. Many plants were associated with specific rituals. The most famous mythical plant, of course, is the fern, or rather its flower, which can only be picked on cupola night. According to legend, whoever manages to find and keep the fern flower will know the location of treasures and understand the language of animals. Toponymic legends. Finally, another category of myths, often overlooked in books, but present in every region, includes legends about the origins and names of villages, cities, rivers, mountains, islands, and hidden treasures. Ukraine is a large country, and its mythology has been shaped over millennia, so it's no surprise that it has regional peculiarities. For instance, we have endemic characters originating from specific regions and unknown elsewhere, such as Chuhaister from the Ukrainian Carpathians or Shubin from Donbas. At the same time, many characters are known nationwide, but may have different traits or names. For example, Mavka and Nyavka are not two different characters, but different names for forest beauties. Moreover, the Ukrainian Rusalka looks almost identical to a Mavka and has a similar character, but is more associated with Polisia and the Dnieper region than the mountainous Mavki. As for the Domovik, not only is it called by different names, but its form can vary greatly, from an invisible spirit to a man with chicken legs. Studying Ukrainian mythology can feel like an exciting quest, as the sources of our knowledge about myths and legends are primarily 19th century studies. Some have been included in modern collections, while others have only been digitized, but not yet adapted for a broad modern audience. In this episode, we'll briefly mention only those books available electronically. A detailed overview can be found in a separate article on our website, with a link in the video description. Slavic Mythology by Mykola Kostomarov. The first volume of Works of the Ethnographic Statistical Expedition to the West Russian Region by Pavlo Chubinsky, titled Beliefs and Superstitions, Riddles and Proverbs, Witchcraft. Ethnographic materials collected in Chernihiv and neighboring provinces, in 3 volumes, and the collection From the Mouth of the People by Boris Hrynchenko. Little Russian Folk Tales and Stories by Mikhailo Drahomanov. The 5th volume of the 5-volume ethnographic study Hutsulshina by Volodymyr Shukevich. Outline of Ukrainian Mythology and Materials on Ukrainian Demonology by Volodymyr Hnatiak. The Ukrainian People in Their Legends, Religious Views and Beliefs, Cosmogonic Ukrainian Folk Views and Beliefs by Herhi Bulishev. Worldview of the Ukrainian People, An Outline of Ukrainian Mythology by Ivan Nichui Levitsky. Pre-Christian Beliefs of the Ukrainian People by Ivan Ohienko. A unique book in which a representative of the Orthodox clergy discusses ancient Ukrainian gods in an engaging and unbiased manner. Among modern studies collecting evidence of mythical creatures in the 21st century, Ukrainian Mythology by Professor Volodymyr Halaichuk of Lviv National University deserves special attention. The goal of our project is not only to introduce you to the magical world of Ukrainian folklore, but also to the researchers who study it professionally. In each episode, we highlight scholars who have advised us and whom you can involve in projects related to cultural diplomacy, promoting Ukrainian folklore heritage, or other initiatives requiring expert opinions from folklorists and ethnographers. In this episode, we present Marina Demidyuk. Miss Marina is a candidate of Philological Sciences, a folklorist, and a senior research fellow at the Department of Ukrainian Literature at the Ivan Krypyakovich Institute of Ukrainian Studies, National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. Marina Valentinivna's research interests include folk fairy tales, mythological and historical folklore prose, oral history narratives about 20th century events, and cross-cultural analysis. Friends, did you enjoy this episode? What new things did you learn? Share in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video so more people can see it. Let's promote the magical world of Ukrainian folklore together.